Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Detour podcast, where we talk all things related to the topic of unconventional success and upcomings. I'm your host, Gary Fan, a community college alumni with aspirations of becoming a world-changing business owner. This episode marks episode 5 within the first season of the podcast. Today, I'm joined with a very special guest, community college alumni, future Ivy League queen, and former accounting classmate Daniela Gonzalez. Hello, Daniela. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, or tell the audience about yourself and what you're planning to do for the future?
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, first of all. I'm really excited. I'm Daniela. I was born in Mexico, Chihuahua to be more specific. And I think after I graduated high school, I decided to take a gap year. And I came here, I think I was 19. Wow. And so I did this cultural care exchange program. It's called the Upper program. So you kind of live with a host family. You take care of their kids. Mm-hmm. And you get to live with them, and it's just like the experience. And then you can take some classes, like English classes, or whatever you want. You can go to the community college.
Yeah.
And so I did that for 1.5 years, and then I eventually decided I wanted to pursue college here. And yeah, so right now I attended OCC for 3 years. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And now I'm transferring to Colombia. And I'm going to major in economics. Yeah. And I'm just really excited to explore more, more of the branches of economics. I don't know exactly where I want to go. But we will see.
That's so awesome to hear. And congratulations on Colombia. That's a big milestone, right? So you also mentioned that you had this gap semester that you took, right? Do you mind explaining a little bit about why you took the gap semester and what you did during that time and how it benefited you in the long run?
Yes. So it was not a semester. It was a year. So, after I graduated high school, I think I was a little bit lost. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Yeah. I had an idea, I guess. I've always been interested in psychology. And I really like children and childhood development and all of that. So I thought I wanted to study something related to that. Mm-hmm. But I was not 100% sure. And then I had been in living in the same town my whole life. Pretty much the same people. So I feel like I wanted, some fresh air. Definitely. And my English was not really good. So I wanted to be challenged in a way, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I thought this program is perfect because I get to work with kids. So I'll find out if that's really if it's something I want to study. Mm-hmm. And then I'll have the chance to take classes of my interest and then find out if psych is what I want. And so I just applied to this program and then matched with a family in Newport Beach. And then I came here without not knowing anybody. I probably Skyped with them twice. Mm-hmm. And I could read their profile and stuff, but it's not the same. You don't know
it's scary,
how.
Right?
Yes,
yeah,
it's kind of scary. But I was just if it doesn't work out, then I just get a flight back and and I don't know, apply to school in Mexico, which the process is super super different.
How so is it different, if you don't mind explaining?
So I was really fortunate because my parents really value education. So they really tried to get us into some of the best private schools in the city. And then after graduating, I was just going to attend I was probably going to move to Mexico City, where the best universities are. But because I graduated from a really good high school, it was not really that hard. I had to just take a test, which I took even before graduating high school, kind of like the SAT, but it's really not as big of a deal as the SAT. Yeah. And so I took it and I did well. So basically, all you have to do is just maybe fill in a quick application, and then if you have the good grades and stuff, you're in, and then your parents pay, and that's it. But it's not a 6 months process it is here, not at all. So, and then they don't have community college or anything like that.
That's crazy. Oh my God.
That's really,
That's kind of scary. So there's not a backup plan for you over there, right?
No. And the other thing is, there's not like you cannot transfer credits from one school to the other.
What? Wow.
Yeah, like they're all private, and so they're really picky. So my fear was, if I decide I want to study psych, and then, you know, like after 2 years I don't like it, and I say, you know, I want to like study business instead, because that was something I was interested in as well, then my parents are gonna spend like all this money, and I'm gonna have to start all over.
That would have been bad.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, okay, I need to take this gap year. I'll be able to improve my English and then take classes. And after like a month, I arrived, I think like December or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know, like one of my goals was that, because I said, you know, I'm not going to go back to Mexico until I know what I want to study and where I want to go to school. Because that was the initial plan. It's going to be just like a gap year. And then I'll find out what I want and go back.
Wow. That's really cool. It's very unique from like your typical college like process here in America, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's so crazy, I think. And how was that process of, you know, you said that you didn't really know English before coming over to America, right?
I mean, it was not really that good. Like I could communicate, I could understand pretty much everything, but it's not like I could have a fluent conversation like I'm having with you right now, you know?
Yeah.
And I could read, yes, but it's just like I felt like I had to translate everything. So I was like, okay, I'm going to ask this at the airport. So how am I going to say it? Like this way or...
How did you build that confidence then from getting from where you were before to getting to that conversational level that you have with me today?
Okay, so I think I really... once I arrived here, I really committed to like reading in English, like everything. I said I'm just gonna read a lot in English. Wow. I'm just gonna try to listen to everything. I mean, obviously in English, but the thing is, here in California, there's a lot of Hispanic people, you know, like Mexicans. So I could basically like speak Spanish too.
Yeah.
You know, the whole time if I wanted to. Not with my family, but so I really tried to look for friends that didn't speak Spanish, so I could challenge myself more. And then the other thing I did is with my friends or like with my host parents, I asked them if they could like correct me every time, like if I don't pronounce something right, and I still do that because it's not like I have perfect pronunciation.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. But it's all way better. But that really helped because I told them like, when I don't say something right, please tell me because I know I'll remember. So that really helped. And then I think something that really helped, it was I signed up for Intro to Psych at OCC.
Yeah.
So like 1 month after my arrival, I was just like, okay, I said, you know, I was interested in psychology, so I'm just gonna try to find a class and see. And I Googled it, and Orange Coast College popped up, you know?
Oh, so that was your first one that popped up?
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
and I was like, oh, okay, good. So then I registered for the class, and I took it very seriously, actually. Because I at that point, like, the grade didn't matter, but I was just like, no, I want to do good. So I guess I surprised myself because I got an A in the class, and I was like, whoa, I didn't, you know? Like, I didn't think I could, you know, get the A, or I don't know. Because for me, it was like, I'm going to, like, a classroom with, you know, high school graduates or people that have been living here their whole life. So I started to consider the possibility, I think, at that point of, maybe I could go to school here. And, you know?
Wow, that's definitely awesome. I do remember you actually, was your first year 2019 for college?
No, it was 2018.
2018?
So that was my second.
Oh, dang. Yeah, I remember you in accounting. You're like super like on point with like detail and everything. So is that still how you are today?
Yes. The thing is, I feel like it was a little bit hard to go back to school full time. Yeah. Because during my gap year, I took that class, just like psych, and then the next semester I took like intro to business and international relations. Wow. At the same time. So I was like, okay, you know, a little bit more work.
Yeah.
But then in the fall of 2018, it was like, okay, I'm staying. I like decided I wanted to make it work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because one thing is to make the decision. I mean, no. I feel like the hardest part is to decide to do something. Like for me, it was like, I really want this. You know, when my first year was coming to an end, I was like, I don't feel ready. Like I want to stay here. I really like it. But I was a little bit scared of like deciding, because once you decide, you're like, okay, you're already committed to that decision. Now you have to find a way to make it work and and do what you have to do. So after I decided, then I was just like, okay, I'm a full-time student now. And so, you know, I had to like plan out all my courses, what I wanted. And it was hard to go back to school like formally after 2 years of graduating high school, you know?
Yeah.
And a challenge was kind of like remembering all the math that I took during high school.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I don't know if you had to take the placement test at OCC.
No, I don't think I had to take the placement test. But I've
then,
heard of it before, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I had to take it. So I spent like the summer before starting just like studying everything in Khan Academy, like
Khan Academy is definitely a very helpful tool.
Yeah, really helpful. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have to study because I don't want to start from like arithmetic or something.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, I have to make it to intermediate algebra.
Yes.
Then I'll be fine. And so, and I did that, and I actually started. So the fall of 2018, I took algebra, and then the winter I took trig, and then I took pre-calc in the spring. Then Calc 1 in the summer, and then Calc 2
yeah, I remember that. Wow. Yeah, I remember you talked a lot about calculus during then. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, you and Christine, I remember, we're talking a lot about calculus. You guys had it together, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Very, very challenging class.
Well, I mean, you did it though, right? Like, you went through that process and, like, you came out, like, very triumphant. And, like, now you're transitioning to, like, an even bigger, like, step towards your life. And that's, like, going to an Ivy League school. Would you have ever imagined, like, yourself there 2 years ago? Or 3?
No, not at all. And the thing is, not even. Oh my! I'm trying to think when I first said like I want to apply to, like, UCLA or UC Berkeley, even those schools. Because to be honest, Columbia came. You know, the idea of applying to Columbia came like 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was not even. It's kind of recent, actually. You know, it's not like it was not my like dream since I started at OCC. But I never imagined I could, you know, even aim to apply to those schools. And I think the first transfer fair I attended, I was just like getting all the, you know, flyers and stuff, and I started like reading them, and I was like, okay. And I think I took UCLA, and I had visited UCLA. Yeah. And then I'm a big fan of gymnastics, so I know a lot of Olympians go to UCLA after. Yeah. So, you know, I kind of became a fan, and I was like, okay, UCLA kind of became my dream school back then, and I just like tried to follow that path. I was like, okay, these are the requirements, and this kind of worked for like all the other schools, and I focused on that. But I think last summer, that's when I started to consider like I'm doing really well. Like I could probably look for other options. You know? Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's so crazy though. Well, how is like the Daniela now different from the Daniela maybe 3 years ago? Like, would you say in terms of mindset, you know, because that's like a huge accomplishment, you know, and like for you to be able to develop that mindset to get to where you are today, like that's definitely like something that most people won't understand or trying to like comprehend, you know?
Right. It's very different, I have to say. A lot. I think, you know, like the mindset that drove me to apply to these schools and to apply to Columbia. Yeah. I think it's just like a mindset that has been developing over the years, obviously. And I think understanding, or something that I really understood at OCC, I think, is that, I can, develop my abilities, and I can constantly change and grow and learn new strategies and tools and become better.
Yeah.
I feel like I used to have this idea of, these things are not within my reach, or I don't have what it takes, or I don't think this is for me.
Definitely, yeah.
And it might not be, or I don't, yeah. So I think really understanding that, yes, you can do it. Yes, you can find new ways of becoming better, and that I don't have to be smart. So I mean, yes, you have to be smart, but I think just being smart won't get you into a college,
I agree with that.
And I think that's an idea I used to have, like, only really smart people will apply there because they're smart and they know they're smart. Yeah. But I feel like at OCC I understood, like, it is not really about that. It's about people that want to become, like, smarter, They want people that are interested in that have that mindset of growth, that they want to be continuously challenged and eager to learn. Yeah. So I think I really found, like, a passion for learning. Yeah. And that changed the whole thing for me. Yeah. Because in high school I was just focused on the grades, sort of. Same. Yeah, I was obsessed about the grades, and the learning was like,
Yeah, for me it was I was obsessed with the grades, but I still couldn't get good grades, but I definitely understand where you're coming from with that growth mindset. I definitely agree with everything you just said. I think it's super important to be able to develop that growth mindset, to be able to challenge yourself. And the thing with what you just mentioned of hard work and smart, like, smart people not only smart people attend these top institutions, right? I would say for myself, I wasn't, like, the smartest kid, and I'm 100% sure my friends probably don't think I'm that smart as well, but the number one thing that separated me from a lot of my friends was the fact that I worked, like, my butt off to get not into just schools, but to really build, like, my passion for what I want to do, and it's that idea of taking action that really propelled me towards applying for an Ivy League, and now getting accepted to an Ivy League, right? So it's like, I definitely agree with you on that platform. So I don't know, I think it's very amazing to hear someone who's developed that growth mindset over the years,
Yeah, and same with you. I mean, I think just mindset is everything sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, with would you give any advice to someone who's walked this path or is currently on this path of being an international student, right, and wanting to take those leaps of faith, but they're held back by let's say scarcity? They have the scarcity mindset, right? They're held back by their fear of accomplishment, of their fear of not being good enough. What advice would you give to those students?
I would say try to focus on the process. I would say we just, like we talked about, we obsess about the final outcome, the result or the accomplishment that you're gonna, or like that you're trying to get, instead of really focusing on the process where you're really gonna be transformed and grow. Yeah. And I think that's something I didn't tell, like, a lot of people about this, but I applied to Stanford as well. Oh, okay. And so I didn't get in. Yeah. But I kind of knew I was not, not that it's something that I decided also, like, 5 months before. Yeah. And just because I said, what if I try for, like, a really, really hard school, like these hard schools, and I'll choose, like, 2. And just to know what it's like to, apply to, like, something really hard that, is very unlikely you'll get in. There's, like, 1% acceptance rate, I think. I checked. Or something, maybe less than that. Yeah. And then I saw it and I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it. And I spent so many hours writing those essays.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And sometimes I was like, I don't know if it's even worth it. Like sometimes I would be like, oh, it's okay. Like I already tagged to like UC Santa Barbara. It's fine.
Yeah.
Why do I, put myself through this? But then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna focus on this, and I think I actually got to know myself a lot from writing those essays.
Me too.
And improving my writing skills, like a lot, Yeah. And so I feel like my advice would be just focus on the process, who you are becoming through it. And I think when you work hard and you get to know yourself throughout the process, the outcomes, yes, is really important. You most likely will get there. And even if you don't get there like the first time that you aim for that, you're gonna learn, and then you're gonna make it different next time. Like I feel like you're not losing if you really put the value in the process. I don't know if that makes
No, that definitely makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that, because I remember during my application process, I only thought about applying to Cornell maybe a year before actually applying. It wasn't this long dream of mine. I mean, I had a different school in mind too. For me, it was USC for the longest time.
I remember.
Yeah. It was USC for the longest time, and then after a year later, I looked into other schools, and I was like, maybe there's a different school that encompasses me as a person better, right? And that school happened to be Cornell, because I was very orientated around business sustainability, ethics, and equity, the intertwined connection between all of those things. And I really didn't find any school that embodied that besides Cornell. And like you mentioned, writing your application process, I wasn't the greatest writer. I have to admit, I was one of the worst writers coming out from high school. Everyone would look at my paper and they're like, dude, this looks like some 5th grader wrote it, what is this, And now during my application process, I mean, probably wasn't the greatest still, but I had that developed skill of learning how to write continuously over time, and hard work just eventually throughout the process pays off in the end, and I also got to know who I was as a person too, so I think that's a plus.
Right, or things part of you or your story that you didn't think were that meaningful, but when I thought about it, I was like, why I never wrote. I was writing my Columbia application and Stanford, and I was like, why didn't I write about this from UC's applications, and that's really true. Just because my dream school was UCLA too. Yeah, and I think I'm really glad that I decided to apply to Columbia, and I was like,
I'm glad too.
Yeah, I'm really glad. Not because, I mean, still UCLA, it's a great school and all, but I think it's just another advice would be don't marry yourself to the idea of the school, Yeah. So always look for more possibilities, and Columbia, something that I really like about it is that they have the School of General Studies. So I got into Columbia School of General Studies, which is merged with Columbia College. Yeah. Right? So, but the thing, what makes this school special is that it's for non-traditional students. And for me, it was wow, they really value students that have followed a different path, that have, been through different journeys and all of that, and they give them this other opportunity to apply and get an Ivy League education. Yeah. And so for me, that was that's great, and they have the resources to support them. So I think that was really important to making my decision. I was like, I actually think I'm a really good fit for Columbia. Yeah. Way better than, maybe UCLA. So
yeah, I agree with that. I'm happy that you got into Columbia. And Columbia's in New York, right?
Yes, New York. Okay, the city.
Okay. New York City?
New York City.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's crazy. I'm 4 hours away from the city, so I might have to visit you.
Right. Yeah. You should. And I'll have to visit Cornell too.
Yeah, I'll definitely give you a tour around Cornell.
Yeah, and I'll give you one around Columbia. But yeah, it's right in the city. So
yeah, that's definitely awesome. And you talked about the idea of Columbia having this non-traditional program that really values your experience and your process as well. Do you mind, or how would you say your experience is different from the traditional international students pathway for college?
Okay, I would say it's different, first of all, because I had no idea that the community colleges existed, you know, before I came here.
Yeah.
I found out when I arrived, and I had to like understand the whole educational system. But I think it's just because my parents, like if I had stayed in Mexico, I didn't even know how the whole application process worked, or that I could do community college and then transfer, like zero idea.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, I don't think my parents would have been able to like send me and be like, oh yeah, because it's expensive, right? Mm-hmm. Like for international students, education here is like
definitely, it's so
super expensive.
Yeah, I've seen the prices. I'm like, you guys paid that?
Even at the community college, when I first like looked at the price, I was like, oh good, like okay. And then I talked to them, and they're like, no, this is for like out of state, like international. So I was like, oh okay. So yeah, it's kind of like the same price. Like OCC is kind of the same price as like attending a private school in Mexico, like private university. So it's a lot. But anyways, I don't think so. I'm one of 5 back in Mexico. Mm-hmm. So one of my sisters was about to graduate from college, and then one of my other sisters was about to get into college, and I was also going to college. So I don't think my parents would have been able to like fully support me here, and I think it's just so what I did through like my gap year and getting to know the family. They saw how committed I was about like education, and they both have really great careers, and I was always like curious about what they were doing and how did they do it and all of that. So when I told them like I want to stay here, but I don't want to, like, if I do 3 years of community college and then I transfer, like, that's a lot to ask, for my parents. I don't know. It's kind of hard to find, like, financing for, like, international students. Yeah. Because I'm not even a resident or anything. And they were like, we'll be more than glad to sponsor your education at the community college. And then once you transfer, then you're on your own. But, so I think in that sense it was different. I also had to like work for it because I work with kids and I took care of their kids, and then I got to live there. In return, I helped them out actually a lot. So I think it was a great experience because it helped me grow in many different ways, and I certainly talked about my experience with these kids, like actively like contributing to their development, because I've been with them 5 years now, since they were like 2 and 3, and now they're 7 and 8. And so I think I didn't follow the traditional path that most students follow here, but also I didn't follow the traditional international student path of, Wow,
so you're different and different, because you're different in the respect that you're an international, and you're different in the respect of an international student because you have this own path of yours as well.
Yes, I mean, I don't want to say like, oh, my path is so different and all, but it really did make it different, because, and my parents don't know anything about how it works here, so I had to figure it out literally on my own. So
I mean, that's made you grow into this person that is more like well acknowledged on like the fact that you're actually living in America and you have like these opportunities here, like so much about like this country now, right?
Yes. And then for a while, like my everything my parents gave me to like spend here, I kind of started to save it, so for when I was going to transfer, and they saved too. But for like 3 years, no, like for almost 5 years, I didn't, because my host family said we'll provide you with everything because we're your sponsors. I didn't really ask for any money from them, so I kind of got to experience a little bit what it's like to be independent. I got paid my first 2 years because I was with the program, and I had a different type of visa and stuff. But it was
that's awesome. I mean, that's super amazing to hear. Like, I don't think I've met someone that's gone through like a different or a process like yours, like you're unique in that respect. So I think that's really cool. With regards to, you said you were looking after kids like during your whole entire process. How was that like? Like, was that challenging for you, or like was that like a mental burden in a sense where you had to worry about school application and you had like these kids like to take care of as well?
Yes, it was really it was really challenging, I have to say. but definitely this experience made me even more like interested in childhood development. It's something I still really like, and behavior, you know. But just like learning how to balance and like manage my time. It was a challenge, a struggle in the beginning. I had some days that were better than others. Because kids can be challenging, and you know, I was like there to support their parents, but a lot of times I was with them most of the time. So I kind of felt like sometimes I was like disciplining them, you know, and trying to educate them and like raise them in a way. So for me, it was like, if I want these kids to like, you know, be better kids and make good choices, I have to just like care about them and try to teach them new things. And I really learned a lot about like compassion and obviously patience. But really, also like this like relationship of trust and respect, which is something that I talked about in one of my essays as well. Like, what kind of leader do you want to be? And you might want to be a leader that you can be, you know, trusted and people can approach you, but also you have to like be respected. So for me, like setting that line with the girls, because I lived in their house, so they pretty much saw me as a sister for a long time. But I also had to make sure they knew that I was the authority and then I was in charge, and they had to respect me, but they could also trust me to tell me things or cry with me if they needed to cry, or and we also laughed and stuff. But
that's an amazing like development story of, you know, gaining someone's trust. I think that's definitely an important life lesson in general, especially if you're moving over and trying to live with other people as well, right? I think that's definitely amazing that you've gone through that process, and even though it might have been kind of mentally draining at times, I mean, you've gained a lot from it, right?
Right. And that's another thing, like I really learned to, you know, like change from one environment to the other one and be like, okay, I was working, whatever happened at work happened, now I have to study. Even though it was hard times, sometimes I will put them to bed at like 7 p.m. and then I was like, I have to study college too, but it's okay, I can do it. But also I think you benefit from working and studying at the same time. So I feel like it was like that sometimes. It's very challenging, but at the same time it give you like a break. And I don't know if I would have been able to do, I don't know if I would have done as well if I didn't have my work. So because I feel like when you have like a lot of things going on, you're like, okay, I gotta get this done.
It's more productive, right?
I'm gonna be more efficient, or how can I, you know, what things in like my day need more time or like less time, and how do I distribute it? So
wow, that's definitely amazing to hear that, you know, having more things on your plate made you more productive in a sense, right?
I think, or learn how to be, I guess.
Definitely. Well, that is about it for the time that we have on this podcast, but is there one thing, if you had one piece of advice you'd give to any transfer student or any high school student that's coming up to college, what advice would that be? Last part of advice that you would give to them.
I would say, don't be afraid to ask questions, like to anybody, like faculty, staff, students, like friends. And because, you know, just by asking a simple question, I was able to find out a lot of things and really exploit all the resources that your community college offers you. You know, definitely. Like really do that. And I would say ask for help and really build relationships with your professors. And with your friends, I think, or just your classmates. Like how we developed our relationship through accounting. That's really really important, I think. Wow, that's definitely awesome. So remember, guys, ask questions, you know. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode of the podcast. I'd like to sincerely thank Daniela for joining us today on the podcast. If anything within this podcast resonated with you in any way, feel free to share this across all social media platforms and tag at detour.podcast. Again, thank you guys all for your love and continual support. I'm your host, Gary Fan, and I'll see you guys next episode.
Bye.